I'm Sheldon Dossett, and welcome to another edition of Inside CU Sports. My first guest today is 11th year women's head coach of the swim team and 10th year head coach of the men's swim team, Casey Bradstreet. Casey, thanks for coming back again.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So we'll start chronologically, pre-Fall Frenzy, which just took place this past weekend. What was the team's perspectives heading into the weekend?
Well, we have been training really hard. It's always really exciting to get to the first meet because they need some sort of reminder of why are we training so hard, and the time span from where we first start, in pool practices to that first meet is always a little bit of a challenge. But Fall Frenzy is a great meet, especially the upperclassmen that remember going to it in previous years have been talking it up, and it's exhausting because of how much we ask them to race, but it's a really fun way to start the season. So they were definitely looking forward to it, needed the encouragement, kind of reminder from just the benefits of competition in general. And I know that they were all really eager to see what competition was going to feel like this year, and what the competition was going to look like as far as our team versus the other teams that were going to be attending the meet this year.
They got plenty of evidence, 36 events across 2 days. Heading into that second day, the men were in second place, the women were in third. What kind of strategy, even going from session 1 into session 2, did it shift? Were there any changes? Were they cognizant of the fact that, hey, we can, which, spoiler alert, ultimately the men's team did win the Fall Frenzy. Was there anything like that was helping push them to that next level?
I think really what we did was try to reiterate what our goals were, what our focus was going into the meet. We had basically 3 things that we were trying to focus on as a unit, and going back to those and making sure that we stuck to it. It's easy to kind of forget your strategy when you're caught up in the adrenaline and excitement of the competition setting. So just reviewing those, hey, remember, these are the things that we're really focusing on. These are the things that really matter. You don't have to tell them to race. They're going to race. But really focusing on the technical elements that we really wanted to see them execute in their races, and just reiterating those. And I think they were motivated, but still pretty hungry after that first session, so they were excited to get into day 2.
7th time participating at the Fall Frenzy, first victory for the men's. Also a couple of career records set and a couple of school records set. If you don't mind just sharing those with us.
Sure, yeah. So, we actually saw 4 individuals with career best, so that's sophomore, junior, or seniors, any of our returners comparing their times now to any of their previously competed CU times. So to have career best swims at the first meet is crazy. I know it's the training from last year and competition from last year obviously factors into how we were able to improve competitively last year, but to have those, I think, was just really encouraging for those athletes to see the hard work is paying off, and then to have those 2 team records. I mean, that's not something we normally do on the first meet, but to have 2 of our relay records from the men's team improved at the very beginning of the season is really, really exciting as well. I think that's going to really fuel them to go after the rest of the team records.
For returners, how do you have them focus more on not how they performed at the end of last season, but how they performed at this time in the previous season? I know it's kind of just human instinct to compare what you previously did most recently to where you are. So how do you kind of give them a little bit more perspective in that regard?
Absolutely. That definitely is a challenge. If the last part that their body remembers competing is conference championship last year, it's hard not to compare, how you feel right now to that swim meet. So one of the things that we have utilized is look at competition from this time of year last year, or maybe mid-season, pre-taper meet, race times from last year or the year before. Usually the Fall Frenzy is something that we do every year, so a lot of times we'll talk about what was your entry time, what was your final time in Fall Frenzy last year. So that's one of the reasons why we really like that meet. We can compare apples to apples that way. So trying to dig up some of those results and see what were they doing last year in September or October, and how does that compare to how they did this year? And that really helps to give a more accurate comparison, I think.
Following a first place men's team finish and a third place women's team finish, what would you say is the difference between the perspective of the team itself, the swimmers, pre-Fall Frenzy and now? Has their goals changed? Have just the attitude more, obviously, probably more confident, but in that regard, have you seen that sort of growth in their outlook, even just based on this weekend?
I think it is motivational. I think, I mean, success breeds success, right? So winning is fun, and we like to do fun stuff. So having that experience, I think, really just increased their hunger for more of it, and also reveals how capable they really are. If we can do this early in the season, imagine what it's going to be like when we get to our first taper meet, or when we get to championship season, what that is going to feel like if we keep doing the things the right way. So we've focused a lot on how this is a process, and can't just train real hard for 2 days and then have a great swim meet. That's not how it goes. So we've been talking about a longevity in our training and creating good muscle memory and good training patterns, and how that is going to affect us in the long run. And I think seeing some of that right now go the way that they hoped is helping that. And then also seeing the other elements where, oh, this is something I want to work on, and this is something I can make better. And now having some time in the water to do that midweek is good. So they have kind of some motivation from the win, but also some motivation to do more in the future.
For sure. It's a quick turnaround this Friday, Center College. What have you and the team been doing in preparation for the event on Friday?
Well, we really try to utilize the first day of the week as a recovery day. A lot of long swimming, time to just work out as much of the soreness as we possibly can. And then really today starts kind of a change in the mindset. How do we focus on the next thing? Like, that was great, but that is in the past now. What's in front of us? And we have a meet Friday and a meet next Friday, and so we're looking at it more at a 2-week time span. We have this meet and next week's meet. So how are we going to continue to improve and race tired, so that when we get to our mid-season taper meet, we're ready to taper and then swim rested and feel good. So they know we're going into this meet tired, so we're going to train hard this week.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to you this weekend,
you.
And thank you for coming back by. And we will be right back with more Inside CU Sports.
When I was your age, I was just like you, fascinated by stars. But now I get to search for life in the universe. And who knows, maybe life is looking for us too.
So we're like aliens to them?
Yeah. Does anyone want to be a scientist now?
I do.
Awesome. We need more girls in STEM.
Maybe we can find aliens.
Our fight against coronavirus isn't over. We still have to slow the spread and do our part. Let's wear face masks in public. Stay 6 feet or more from others. Follow state and local guidelines. Wash our hands frequently. And stay home when we feel safe. For ourselves, for our loved ones, for our future. Let's move forward together. Learn more at coronavirus.gov.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just because we're being healthy at home and practicing good social distancing doesn't mean we have to lock ourselves away and throw away the key. You can still get up and stay active not only for our physical health, but for our mental health as well. Maybe it's time to pick up running again. Or you can take the dogs for a walk. And with all the barbershops and salons being closed, right now seems to be a good time to learn to cut your own hair. But no matter what you do, make sure you have fun. And for more information on what Campbell's University is doing in our battle against COVID-19, visit campbellsville.edu.
Welcome back to Inside CU Sports. I'm here now with Eric Graves. He is the former interim head coach of the bowling teams and now in his first year as full-time coach. Eric, thank you for joining us.
Glad to be here.
I like to start from the beginning. You have been the assistant coach of the football team here back starting in 1988 till 2005 under Ron Finley. So how would you say that your time as an assistant coach, and then eventually you were also a head coach of Adair County and of Taylor County, how has that informed your coaching style?
Well, I'll tell you what, again, you said we start back at the beginning. I really didn't realize until we got to our faculty staff function at the beginning of the year that I look around, man, I'm the oldest in the bunch. So I've been here since '88. I came here to finish up an education and coach football under Ron Finley. I actually coached baseball and football with him. Coached football in '88, started in '88, and then baseball in '89. And then they went to spring and fall off seasons and had to make a choice. And I went with football, be honest with you, because baseball, every time it rained, they pushed it back to where you was having ball games every day. So I thought, well, I'll just stick with football, where all I got to do is worry about one game at the end of the week.
Yeah, the week.
Oh, what a tremendous opportunity that was to work for Ron Finley. It was one of those things where when he interviewed me, he asked me two questions. He says, one, do you know Jesus Christ is your personal Savior? And I said, absolutely. And he said, two, can you be loyal to me? I said, yes, sir. He said, then I'll teach you everything else you need to know. And that was the interview. And, again, when I was with him, he asked me, he says, what is your goals? And I said, my goals was to eventually become a head coach. And he said, we're going to work towards that. And we worked towards that for about 15 years. And I stayed here and then left and went to Adair County and took over the head position there, and then came back to Campbellsville as the offensive coordinator there for Jim Deaton. And then Jim left after 3 years, and I left and went to back to Adair County for 4 more years and was their head coach, and then left there and went to Taylor County, and I was at Taylor County for 4 years. And then I got an opportunity. I retired from teaching, retired from coaching college football, and Jim Hardy called me and said, would you like to come back as the assistant athletic director? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. And I got to come back to where my heart was, at Campbellsville. So I came back and was in charge of facilities, things like this. Then about a year ago, I took over as interim when Justin Ward left. And I'll be honest with you, I thought I was done with coaching until I got to coaching kids again, and I missed that relationship with them. I was in charge of facilities and coaches, things like that, and it's not the same. Right. And then April, then Jim and I sat down and talked, and I took over as full-time head men's and women's coach, and man, it's been fantastic. Haven't looked back since then.
Yeah. What do you think that you pulled from your previous as an assistant coach and then a head coach yourself eventually? What did you pull from those different sports that you have been utilizing for bowling?
Well, I tell you what, you find out coaching is coaching. It really doesn't matter what sport you're in. The technique part of it, I'm fortunate because I was able to get, I've got MJ Marshall is the men's assistant coach, and Shelby Barnett is the women's assistant coach, and then we've got GAs. So I do basically the administrative work, the recruiting, things like this. They take care of the technique, because from the time that I bowled, been about 40-some years ago, big difference.
I'll bet.
When I bowled, I had a rubber ball and a plastic ball, and we didn't worry about oil on the lanes. Now it's really scientific.
Yeah.
They bowl depending on what ball, how they bowl, how they move on the lanes, based on the oil on the lanes. Well, we didn't worry about that when I bowled.
Just slung
And we just threw that ball down there. And when I came in, I told them, I said, what I know about bowling, you guys have probably forgotten more about bowling than I have. I said, but coaching, I've done a lot of coaching, and it doesn't change. And I'm going to bring into bowling what I learned from football and baseball. And again, it's one of those things where you're coaching Jimmys and Joes. And that's what it's about, coaching those individuals. I told them when I came in, I said, what I know about bowling is you've got 2 chances to knock down 10 pins. If you do it with 1 ball, man, that's fantastic. We're doing great.
Yeah.
And again, I think more than anything, what I'm trying to do is create memories for young men and women, and so that they can have memories going back and saying, hey, man, I remember when I bowled in college over at Campbellsville, and man, I had a blast. And in the process, I carry an attitude that doggone it, I want to win.
Yeah.
When I played, if I play my kids in Monopoly, boys, I'm going to win.
Playing to win.
I guarantee you, if I play against somebody, my goal is to win. Now, I'm going to stay within the rules to win, but I'm going to do everything I can to beat you. And that's what I want to bring into our bowling. I want our kids to shoot for a national championship. We're fortunate this past week, the girls came back second in the Mid-South Conference tournament there at Bowling Green. To give you a little idea of where that places us, the other 2 teams that was first and third was Martin Methodist, which is now UT Southern, and Pikeville. Those 2 was in the national tournament for the NAI this past year, one of the top 16 teams, and so we're right there. Yeah. Our goal is to bring back hardware every single tournament that we play, and then eventually work to where we're going to the national championship in Michigan. And hey, somebody has to be named national champion.
Right.
Why not Campbellsville?
Why not?
That's right.
Well, you mentioned the Baker shootout this past weekend at Southern Lanes, and the women finished 2nd of 12. This coming weekend is the men's opportunity to do the same.
The men's, I am really looking forward to seeing how the men are. We have really improved our team. We've got some excellent bowlers. We've got one young man that is a fantastic bowler, Ambrose Shirk, is a freshman for us. And man, I'd like to be able to bowl like him.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to knock pins down, knock 10 pins down every time I bowl.
Right, that'd be nice.
It'd be nice. But again, we've got some great kids with Andrew Swift with us, Andrew McWhorter, Manuel Castile. We've got some good kids. We're going to take 8 with us to varsity. We've got to get a couple of them finished up with their eligibility, and then we'll take a varsity and a JV. But this week we're only taking a varsity squad. And to be honest with you, I look to bring back some hardware this week too.
Yeah. Well, let's do it, Coach.
Yeah, sounds great.
Well, thank you for coming by. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm telling you what, anytime. I love, I guess can't quit talking about my kids that I coach. They're special, and the kids that I've coached over the years in football, man, they're just, it's like family. I think we figured out one time I got 157 former ball players coaching and teaching in high school in Kentucky right now.
That's awesome.
So, oh man, it is great to see them. And this Thursday when the football team plays, I get a chance to see about 10 or 12 of them coming in.
Yeah. Well, great deal.
Hey,
Well,
thank you.
Thank you, Coach, and we'll be right back with more on Inside CU Sports.
If you love them enough to crawl into a play place to get them to come down, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oscar the Grouch here to tell you, yeah, you, to wear a mask out in public around other people. Sure, it'll keep you healthy, but more importantly, I won't have to see your happy, smiling face. And if you don't want to wear a mask, I've just got one thing to tell you. Scram! Go away!
Caring for each other because we are all in this together.
So wear a mask and have a rotten day, will ya?
Leaving hot coals improperly extinguished can cause a wildfire.
Hey guys, it's Smokey!
It looks as if Smokey is going to use the drown, stir, drown, and feel technique. After the first drown, a good start. Next, another drink. And finally, a close feel.
Is it cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Smokey, catch! Oh, my bad, Smokey.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back to Inside CU Sports. With me now is CJ Moritz in his third year as head coach of the esports team. CJ, how are you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. You were the inaugural coach of the esports team here at Campbellsville University. Tell me what that process was like, getting the team started and then going into your first season, kind of how you felt.
You said we only have 8 minutes to do all this? So, no, well, it was actually it was such a cool process and unique because not only was it, I in charge to get the team together, but also I had a hand in constructing the arena too. Mm-hmm. So that was a whole new ballpark for me. And but it was actually really interesting to find people, and some people they had the same roles for Overwatch like we were talking about before. I think we had 3 healers, but then obviously we don't need 3 healers. Yeah. So it was okay, well who's the best out of the 3, and kind of put them in the spots that we needed. Right.
You mentioned the arena. Mm-hmm. So what was that? Construction, the design of it, how was that?
Yeah, so that was, excuse me. No, that was a totally new experience for me, mm-hmm. and I really enjoyed it. It was a little overwhelming, but I followed a collegiate league, and then also League of Legends, I should say, and then also the CSL. Not CSL, that's a Collegiate Star League, but the LCS, and so how they kind of have their setups with computers or stations and everything like that, and how close they are to each other. I kind of got inspiration from over there, so that was a big help. Mm-hmm. And then what was really interesting is to try to squeeze as many stations as we could without really impacting the players' space, I should say.
Your alma mater is Asbury University. Mm-hmm. There you were a member of their esports club, you mm-hmm. were a swimmer, and then eventually you become a graduate assistant swimming coach and then an assistant swimming coach. What have you been able to pull from swimming that's been able to translate to coaching esports? Yeah, so it's funny that you say that because my first year it was very an awakening almost, because mm-hmm. Esports is very different than traditional sports. So you have to approach things a little differently. And so one thing I brought from swimming and over to esports is that it's more so with esports, it's very mental.
It's very, you know, you have to stay mentally sharp. You can't get in your head, and you know, swimming with that too. And again, with all sports is like that. But it's almost like times 10 with esports. For sure. So a lot of it is, you know, if a bad play happens, you have to let it go, because if you don't let it go, then you're going to ruin the whole entire game for the rest of your team and the match.
Starting with League of Legends, you mentioned it specifically here at Campbellsville. It's grown to 4 different games now,
yes,
correct?
Yeah.
Can you discuss some of the other games besides, and also discuss League of Legends?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So we have 4 games, or titles, as we also call them. We have League of Legends, Overwatch, Rocket League, and Smash Brothers. We also have some smaller titles as well. They're not as predominant, because we might have like 1 or 2 kids that are involved in it, but it's not as big as, like, let's say, you know, our Smash team with that. But yeah, so with League, it's a 5 versus 5. You know, you're experienced in Dota,
right.
And so, but usually when people who have no idea what esports are, I kind of relate it to basketball in a sense.
Me
where,
too.
Yeah. It's 5 versus 5. You have a center, a point guard, and 5 different positions that are really, you can't do one without the other.
Right. So, what would you say, especially after this past year with the pandemic and all that's going on, and not being a very long in your tenure as a head coach, has there been anything that happened in the pandemic that we're still in that has influenced the way that you're going to proceed with esports going forward?
Yes, actually it has. So before, we would have, obviously practice every day, and before the pandemic hit. But last year, we did a new thing called dorm practice. And so again, something really cool with esports is that you can, if you have a computer and you can internet connection, you can kind of play from wherever. So to not have so many people in the arena, what we did was dorm practice. So let's say it was, I think, like Mondays, the Smash team had their practice in the dorms. And so I would be like on Discord with them while they were practicing, and they would stream what they were doing and whatnot. So.
You mentioned 4 titles. Is there any other titles that you all sort of have in the pipeline that are more predominant? One that comes to mind for me is Valorant, just with how popular it's become. Is that one of those?
Yeah, so my assistant and I, this past summer, we went to Massachusetts for a recruiting event, and there was a lot of Valorant players there. Some of them, like even high school, some of them very, very good. I was like, wow, it's cool to see that. But yeah, that's one of the esports we'd love to bring in here is Valorant. I think it's so neat, the strategic, I can't even say that word.
Strategic.
Yeah, there it is. It's early, it's 8 a.m. here, so not 12.
Yeah,
yeah, a shooter to bring, and I think that is, I mean, how it's a lot like CS:GO, but obviously I'm a little biased towards Riot because I like League of Legends, so I like what Riot has to offer, and it's really unique with all the different abilities and stuff that they bring.
It's kind of like Overwatch meets CS:GO.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, and just the pinpoint almost accuracy you need to have. It's like not so much with like Overwatch where you have you can shoot a lot of each other back and forth, or like Apex where you have your shields and stuff like that. But it's very, well, if you mess up, then kind of over.
Yeah. Can you discuss a little bit on the season thus far, practices, how the roster is feeling, and then upcoming competitions as well?
Yeah. So we're already underway in our season. We are actually doing, for the first time this year, the Mid-South is having a conference.
That's awesome.
Which is, it's super cool. It was discussed this past summer, and so it was just kind of took off on the ground. I believe it depends on the title, but there's a handful of schools involved, and obviously we're one of the schools involved, so I'm really excited for that. But yeah, our Smash team, we have a match today. Both of them have a match today, our varsity and academy team. And then our Overwatch team has a match on Wednesday, and then Rocket League on Friday.
Yeah. Well, best of luck to you, CJ, and the esports roster. And thank you for sticking by for another episode of Inside CU Sports. We'll see you next time.